Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
They're polite. I mean, they just take the time for you.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
I like the Angels for what they've done for me.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the producer of our series, Jeff Durrell. We're in the recording studio in the Department of Music and Theater at Fort Hays State University in Malloy Hall with Ben Cline, chair of the Department of Music and Theater at Fort Hays State, who is also to be the guest conductor of the Gala, the kickoff event, the inaugural event for the Hays Symphony Orchestra, September 10th, beginning with a pre-concert presentation with the director of Fort Hays Band's Dr. Jeff Jordan. Ben Cline will be the conductor for the Hays Symphony inaugural concert, and the admission is free thanks to the help of Kay and Dick Worth at Auto World. So you're invited to attend at the B. Schmidt Performing Arts Center. If we could, Ben, let's start with the areas of possibilities for music at Fort Hays State. As Department of Chair, what would you say to a recruit?
Well, what I would say is that regardless of their interest, that students come here and find their place, and oftentimes they find what they're really interested in. When they come, they have a general idea, but then after a year or two, they usually focus in on that particular area, whether that's music education, teaching band, teaching choir, teaching young children. Some of our kids love it all, and so they choose to be educators in all three areas. We have music composition as well, and that's an area where students often are surprised that I didn't know I liked that so much. But they take a theory class or two, and part of those theory classes involves writing a few little pieces as examples to practice the theory. Turns out, hey, I really enjoy that. So there's the music composition. We also have, of course, performance degrees where they can focus on that area that they perform, voice and instrument. And of course we have the band instruments, brass, woodwinds, percussion, and string instruments as well, and voice, piano as well. We even have a wonderful organ teacher, although organ's not so popular anymore. And then, of course, we have the Bachelor of Arts degree, which is where maybe students, they're looking for a degree. They don't know if they want to be musicians professionally, right? I don't know if I want to go teach, I don't know, but I love music and I want a degree, and this is a good way to do that.
And several years ago, Ben, the departments were combined with the Department of Theater at Fort Hays State to give more options.
That's right. And so now we also have the theater program, and we are in process. Whenever you create something new, it's layers of administration bureaucracy. But we are in process of creating a new BA in the theater so that students who are interested in focusing on theater will have a place here as well. We have theater students now. Right now they're in the BGS program, which is the Bachelor of General Studies. But some students would like a little more focus in theater, and so that's what we're creating right now. We have a lot of students who cross over. So there might be music students, and they sing, and they end up enjoying music theater, and then they end up enjoying theater as well, or on the other way as well. Kids who come to theater and turns out I enjoy learning how to sing. So there's a lot of cross-pollination that happens.
And it's a nice combination, too, to have.
Really nice combination.
And in an aside, Tommy Lee Williams, Director of Theater at Fort Hays State for many, many years, was so glad that you consented to do the interview talking about theater as opposed to her having to do it.
Well, she is, what she does is amazing. She keeps the entire theater program on its feet and moving forward. And I feel for her many days.
Let's talk about Benjamin Cline's journey in music. How did yours start?
Well, by not having any choice, I guess.
As many children do,
right?
right?
Yeah, my mother was a pianist. Actually, her career is as a special educator, a special education teacher. But she also played piano. She learned from a very young child. She was a church pianist when I was growing up. I took lessons from her and then from another piano teacher later on. It was just one of those things, you know, you do. It's like learning to read. You'll play music.
Our producer, Jeff Durrell, had the same experience with his mom,
Yeah,
as a matter of fact. That's what you do.
That's what you do, yeah. And you know, I can't say from the very first moment I was just enthralled with it. You know, it's when you're a child made to do lessons, sometimes that's but so what happened was in 5th grade, that was the last year where I was in Colorado. That was the last year of elementary school, and then you went on to middle school, and at that point you had to choose, you know, like kids do here. I'll play one of these instruments, or I'll sing in choir or something like that. Well, we knew at the same time that I was going to have braces, and so there were a lot of instruments that were suddenly no longer available to me. And I didn't want to sing. I just didn't. I don't know. And then my elementary music teacher, she said to me, "Well, you look like a cellist." And, you know, honestly, it was nothing I'd ever thought about. Yeah, I just knew there, you know, string instruments, brass instruments, whatnot. And my mother said, "This is a really interesting idea." And I said, "Okay, let's try it." And I was hooked then, at that moment. As soon as I started, early on. There was just something about the experience of that instrument. You know, this happens sometimes. When you hear about young children, much younger than I was, but you know, 4 years old, 5 years old, and some of them are begging their parents, "Please let me play this instrument." Well, I didn't have that experience, but similarly, when I started, I was 11 years old. I just couldn't put it down. So
My elderly son was the same way, just a cello. He was attracted, and that was his instrument of choice.
Yeah, we never, you know, who knows? There are not very good, but there are studies about personality in instruments, and you know, is it causal, or is it just correlative, or who knows? I don't know. Who cares?
But it worked out.
But it worked out, and that's you know, as they say, that's the rest was history.
So much of this comes from family support then, and encouragement of parents, or demands of parents, if you will.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So your decision then to come to Fort Hays, how did that come about?
Well, you know, as with many fields, job markets are tough. And I was, to be honest, I had been teaching in elementary schools for a few years before then. I had played in orchestras for many years, and I had a son, and I decided, it's time to not travel so much, because I was traveling a lot. And so I took this job teaching, but I knew that I wanted to get back into either performance or academia. And this just came along, you know, just like fell into my lap.
Right place, right time.
Right place, right time, right people, and it just worked out.
Well, and of course, the Department of Music, as you're well aware, Ben, has a long history of excellence.
It really does. This started in 1912. In 1914, they brought in Edward Malloy. And, he was here for 3 decades, I think. And his motto was to sing Western Kansas in tune, you know. And, he started that tradition of excellence, and it has continued ever since. So we're now in our 104th year, moving into the 105th year.
Talk a little about your conducting this inaugural gala. Which the conductor of the Hays Symphony, Shah, is going to present Russian music as a tribute to the Volga German culture and the culture of the Hays area in western Kansas. Talk about Russian composers and their influence a bit, Ben.
Well, you know, you had another guest, Irina Ravitskaya, who's much more knowledgeable than I am on this subject. But Russian composers, well, I'll start with the obvious. They've had a great deal of influence, and you know, it's actually important to note, even now. You know, right now the world feels unstable again, but in fact the sharing of ideas and information and cultural influences between Europe and between Russia has been going on for a long time. You know, in fact, during some of the Tsar's times, French was the preferred language of the courts in Russia. So, you know, and there were composers, of course, who traveled back and forth, just like there were in other parts of Europe. German composers would go to Italy, Italian composers to Germany. Well, this is the same kind of thing. And so, but this Russian cultural world was so fertile for this musical imagination that starting in the 19th century and definitely in the 20th century, you had all of this European tradition, excellent training, along with this whole new realm of folk tunes and you know, the heritage of Russian music in general, and it's just poured into this art form, and it's and then of course these works, which are nothing, they're you know, they're like nothing that's been heard before, because it has this whole new realm of influence. And then of course European and American composers hear this and I never thought about doing that, right? So it has that kind of influence. It's as influential as any other area, I think.
That is part of the reason that this Department of Music at Fort Hays State is so diverse and so influential throughout not only western Kansas, but the Midwest as well. People like Ben Cline, the chair of the department. If you would, talk a bit about the gala itself.
Sure. So this is our first concert of the season, and we've expanded the season this year to include a few more concerts of different kinds. Chamber music, we're looking at some lighter concerts in general. So this is a way to just begin, right, with a celebration. The concert on September 10th will be free to the public. We are trying to reintroduce the orchestra to the community, to get people interested in what we're doing. And so we decided a free concert. Please come. Everybody's invited, you know. And the music is powerful music. We're doing with Dr. Ravitskaya, we're doing Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto. He wrote 4 piano concertos, and this is the most popular of it. People will probably recognize something from it because themes from this concerto have been used in popular songs, in movies, that sort of thing. So even if, you know, I'm not quite sure what it is, you've probably heard a snippet somewhere. Then we're also doing Tchaikovsky's March Slav, which actually depicts some atrocities that happened between Serbs and Turks and Russians. And then we're also doing Rimsky-Korsakov's Capriccio Espagnol. And well, this is just a fun piece. Rimsky-Korsakov wrote this with the idea, well, Espagnol is, you know, Spanish, right? So it's using some Spanish dances. And but it's sort of a showcase for the orchestra. The violin, flute, clarinet, several other instruments, they all have solos during this piece. It's really a brilliant piece. It's a lot of fun, actually. So we'll be presenting this concert, and then afterwards there will be a reception. Everybody's invited, meet the musicians. There will be free desserts provided by Kathy's Breads. You know, she does an amazing job with breads. I don't know if you've had any yet, but
looking forward to it. Yeah.
They are amazing, and of course Dick and Kay Worth from Auto World are making this possible as well. So it's just a community event, is what it is. No hoity-toity, you know. I mean, it's wonderful music, but it's meant to just people to meet each other, to get to know each other, and to just come listen to a concert. So.
The Gala, September 10th at the Schmidt Performing Arts Center with a preview of the concert with Dr. Jeff Jordan, Director of Bands at Fort Hays State University, and the conductor of the Gala, the chair of the Department of Music and Theater at Fort Hays State, Benjamin Cline. Our community connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
And the Angel Care nurse comes to see me once a week.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Angel Care has helped to stay home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.